unfortunately now they've either been like second or like
it was like
fifth,
Reason Gaming and Mousesports always had like third and fourth, but we'll be changing up now as we are in CSQ and we have the first bans coming out. Will be Lucian coming in from k1ck and Azir out from Mousesports. We've seen a lot of Azir over CSQ, honestly, and past couple of weeks hasn't really felt any nerfs or anything bad over the last couple patches.
Yep, as you said, and you know, see from Vidius we were talking about earlier, mid lane meta kind of stayed the same as well. So no real changes there with Azir gone. Ryze is as well, and then we turn our attention to the jungle with that Nidalee being gone. Less jungle priority than I was expecting in a lot of these games. We've seen the rise of Gragas and Elise without even all three junglers above them being banned.
Yeah, bizarre. Nidalee ban against LeChase, he played that yesterday, but he didn't blow me away. He kind of got out-jungled. LeBlanc will be aimed at Caps because Caps went ham. Again, 2 bans at the mid lane, but that did leave up the Fizz, I believe, was banned against him yesterday. So
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and then the final ban would be Trundle. Seen a lot of those first pick Trundles, actually, from the blue side, either swapping into top lane or support. But yeah, I just want to see where Caps goes from here. I feel like he has a big champion pool anyway.
So normally I would say here Kindred would be the first pick, but on 610 we haven't really seen Kindred first picked much at all. So right now it's kind of one of those perplexing times of do we go top lane here looking for you know, the likes. We have seen a couple of games of Poppy. The Gnar typically has been saved for later on in the draft. There is a lot of options that could be picked up in this one, but it's no real like glaring this is what is coming
Not
first.
really, because
Nothing
like
stands out.
I mean, the funny thing is, like, Echo has made it through a lot of ban phases, and Brom's going to be the first pick here from k1ck, but Echo is, like, not being banned and then made it all the way through, or just being banned, and then people won't pick him, so maybe we'll see him, I just don't know, because it just depends on the priority that the teams really have on that pick, because Echo's still good.
Yeah. He is good. We've seen him losing out in a couple of matchups as well, but a couple of tweaks came through. He is still top tier pretty much in the top lane meta. Brom's an interesting one because I was anticipating a little bit more of a move towards the MSI meta game where we had a lot more of the ranged supports and a fall off of Brom and Alistar. Alistar we have started to see that a bit, but Brom's still high priority here in Europe and European Challenger, seemingly you know, sticking with old habits for now.
I guess so. I mean, we did see some Janny yesterday, we saw a Nami yesterday as well, so I mean, some people are adapting, but if people are still good with the Broms, with the Alistars, then you can make it work. We've seen examples of Alistar not working out. Hadao didn't do too well on that pick, but we'll touch on him later. There's the Echo, actually, as a first rotation, along with Sivir coming in from Mousesports.
Okay, so where does that leave us for k1ck? Likely jungle pickup on this rotation. Probably want to save their mid laner, and depending on where they go on their top lane, I think they would be fairly safe to pick the Maokai now.
Yeah.
You know, Maokai Echo would be a decent matchup, and if they are doing something tricky, flexing the Echo into mid lane, which you wouldn't really expect, it does give them somewhat of an opportunity to pivot, but not to be expected. So we are looking for AD carry here as well.
Okay, so the Elise picked up, and again, priority has gone up in the jungle. There's the Ezreal as well for the ADC, of course. And yeah, it's just interesting to see that the Elise has kind of gone up in priority.
And this is wildly different from what k1ck were running yesterday. k1ck yesterday ran the Nidalee, they ran the Caitlyn, they ran the Syndra alongside it as well. So yeah, it's kind of a weird situation that we find ourselves in where k1ck are like, well, you know, yesterday didn't work for us. We're going to change up completely and see exactly where they land on. So Mouse right now, they've got the Sivir already, so that Caitlyn is not getting locked in unless we're having something tricky back into like season 1, season 2
put
style.
like the Caitlyn mid lane or something like that.
Not expecting that. But jungle pickup is going to come. Normally, I would say it should be like a Graves or a Kindred. That would be what we're expecting, but we've seen a lot of Gragas at the same time. Jungle pool has really weirdly changed without any real reasoning on it happening, just because of the... I wasn't expecting it to have changed that much to a Rek'Sai pickup here.
You know, if anyone was going to do it, though, it would be Dan.
True.
I mean, like, that's his, like, staple pick, and it's just like, well, Elise is going to be going your priority. That means Rek'Sai's going to go up in mine, and hey, Black Cleaver's down 400 gold in cost, and everyone's building. That's what the cool kids are doing. So I guess I'll just pick Rek'Sai.
You know what this is? This is Dan looking at Rift Herald and being like, look at how strong this buff is.
Like,
I can build Black
Cleaver. Taking it, but I guess, yeah, he'll just like steal it at the last moment. He'll be like, hey, top laner, can you come down and help me with Herald? And he'll just like stand on it until they leave. But that's maybe what he was going to try and do this game. Alistar as well, so 2 tanky supports going to come out.
Yes, still, again, was expecting the drop-off of Alistair. The reduction on his damage reduction of 20% was fairly significant, going from 70 to 50, the earlier ranks. Kind of expected him to fall off. I was speaking a lot to a couple of coaches, a couple of supports as well from CS and LCS, and they're like, yeah, not really a big fan of Alistair right now on 610, so very strange. But we are blind picking the Victor into the middle lane. Not too surprising. We've seen that kind of rise once again in prominence, so I quite like that for k1ck. Honestly, k1ck kind of have just this composition where they've got the Elise to start the pickoffs. You've got a high damage coming from that Victor, and then Ezreal, of course, is going to scale through the game as well.
Yeah, of course. And the Poppy goes into the top lane, so that'll be probably against the Echo. Of course, we've seen it flex into the mid lane as well. Seen it from a bunch of mid laners, so we'll see if that comes true. But we're just waiting on the final pickup coming in from Mouse here.
Wouldn't mind seeing something like a Lissandra here. You can take the teleport on it. You've got team fight control. The ability with the Sivir, with the Alistair, is fairly significant to get yourself into the fight and lock them down. So, you know, it would provide extra options. I'm looking at what else would be available into the Victor right now with Azir, with Rise Band. Honestly, I think Lissandra's probably one of the remaining picks. I saw EUCS tweeting a little bit about it earlier. But you mentioned it was banned yesterday against Caps, and the Fizz is going to get picked up this time.
I mean, he's very much an assassin player. I mean, Zed was the other ban that was up against him as well. So it's like Caps likes his assassins. I mean, yesterday he played LeBlanc, now it's been banned against him, and then they pick up the Fizz alongside it. So cool to see. That's going to be in front of the Victor as well. Of course, his E receives a bit of a hit, that being from Victor, so that will help Fizz a little bit in that laning phase. But I mean, Caps is a fantastic player, like we've seen from yesterday, and people have really put a lot of respect to him in terms of bans. So yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do with the Fizz pick, because we've seen it. We saw it at MSI. We saw it a bunch of times.
Yeah, I've also seen people starting to do the tank Fizz again up in the top lane, which is kind of difficult to deal with. Mid lane matchup, I haven't seen too much of it. Should be able to kind of bully out that Victor once he gets past kind of level 4. Fizz should be able to lay down some damage, you know, deal with a scaling mid lane, or at least a little bit more of a scaling mid laner. So that mid lane matchup could be an you know, interesting one to watch. Not just the farm fest that we had in the previous game that was just like, well, this game's going 40 minutes, nobody's touching anybody.
Yeah, I mean, actually, a lot of those matchups have gone that way. It's funny, we've kind of had the full spectrum, and then we were talking about this backstage when it was just like, we've had these really long games. We've got like 63 minutes the Dream, right? And then you've also got like these super short games, kind of stompy, and then these games that go like both ways. So it's really interesting to see where people will kind of settle at the end of this.
Yeah, very interesting. I didn't think we'd settle, though, when it came to a jungle matchup on a Rex side, but that is Dan, as you alluded to, with the Black Cleaver. We'll see if he goes that way as well. So for k1ck, they've got themselves pretty strong lane control when it comes to what you'd expect from side lanes, but Victor actually opting for the barrier. Would have expected TP, just in general. Opting for barrier, so no third lane control. I was going to say the Poppy should be kind of okay into the Echo, but looking at it now, that kind of changes things.
That does, and he's against Caps on Fizz as well, so I guess he just more respect. It's just
understandable.
Like, yeah, didn't do too well against Godbro yesterday. Don't want to be another game where I'm just bleeding out kills.
The other thing is, it's like the rock, paper, scissors, right? It's like, is he taking Ignite? You know, do I need to take the barrier? Now, unfortunately, in some circumstances now for Chico,
you lost the rock, paper, scissors.
Exactly. You kind of lost that one. I'm sorry. Caps is going to be able to TP around the map now, so we'll see how those TPs actually affect things. We
shall see, and we've got everyone fanning out, so we kind of have another kind of 40 seconds until we really see people and where they'll end up, because we saw a lot of late lane swaps yesterday. Only about 2, I think, so less lane swaps for sure. Definitely more standard lanes from what we've been seeing out of 610.
And that was the funny thing, was in the Group A games, we kind of didn't see any lane swaps, and Sifa and I were talking, and we were like, you know, no lane swaps, kind of what we were anticipating, and then we watched the Group B games, and it's like, oh, okay, people are still swapping. But honestly, that was one of the things that kind of had come to fruition talking to people about scrims, was that less frequent lane swaps, but they still happen. So, well, this isn't so much of a lane swap on non-standard, but you could see k1ck wanted to go towards Northgaren and then realized how much health he had. And it's just like, don't really want to engage into that right now.
I'll get you next time. Yeah, let me go back and get some items first, but this is going to be a farm frenzy in the bottom lane. Neither of the bot lanes actually went for those camps, so we've seen some people go for those camps in the bot lane, but of course, not only the person who kills it gets the experience, so you can't both hit level 2 and go for a super hard punish. Sometimes you'll see the support take it, so specifically like a Braum will jump in and try and get like a Winter's Bite, allow like an edge to follow up, but they didn't choose to do that this time around. I want to talk about the mid lane though, because Caps was that big player yesterday that we saw. And currently getting bullied, but it is a ranged matchup, of course, and it is to be expected against the Fizz, for the first couple levels at least.
Ranged into Fizz typically is just completely dominated by the ranged champion until level 4. The reason it's level 4 is when you get that second point in E, which is the regular way that you'd build a Fizz, you actually start doing a fair amount of damage. You'd land on them, get like extra 50 to 70 damage, and start just autoing people down. I'm going to take a look at that mid lane and see exactly how it's going to play out just as we bounce around the map as well. Just keep an eye, because when there's a Fizz involved, you kind of can go 100 to 0 in no time.
Yeah, maybe not at level 2, but
no, that's true.
Yeah, at level 4, level 5, definitely level 6. LeChase looking for a gank down the bottom lane. Cocoon lands onto a minion, unfortunately, but concussive blows will proc off against Norskeren. Comes in with the angry cow. He will pulverize the ground, and then LeChase will back away. Dan is going to go into his jungle here. Dan, very interesting player. Going to talk about him in a second as Truxlax and Wardane are going toe-to-toe. But yeah, Dan, he's the only surviving member from the last lineup of Mousesports. But he's also very well known for his Rek'Sai, and specifically how much he split pushes on that champion. And you very rightly said in Champion Select Stress that now with Rift Herald coming out and that 20-minute buff and generally going on the split pushes, and yes, maybe you've got a Fizz with teleport and then an Echo with teleport, but you also have Rek'Sai with no teleport but her ultimate. So there's a good chance that Dan will pick up that buff.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see Dan be very selfish about that. Speaking of buffs and objectives right now, I think I'm cursed when it comes to casting these games. Every game, we're 100% right now. Cloud Drake is going to be the first Drake that is spawning that I am casting. So unfortunately, we won't have teams scrambling to take that very early on. Really, the only option when it comes to Cloud Drake that we've seen is if you take it as part of a trade. It's like the loser prize of losing Rift Herald. Because that's the thing is, as we see a couple of trades, bot and mid, it's not just about how valuable the objective is on its own, it's how valuable is it compared to the other objectives on the map. Cloud Drake is a nice boost, but compared to everything else that could possibly be taken at that time, not worth it.
Well, Dan's going to come in for a bot lane gang flash from k1ck, but a follow-up from Dan as well for the knockup. Upset's not going to get the damage down as he was exhausted out from Rook, so they're good to go. Couple summoners burnt. Looks like 3 over from k1ck and just 1 from Mouse. But up 2, that was a flash from Dan as well.
Yeah, so that bottom lane matchup, though, still will have 3 for Mouse. You can see Wardane up in the top lane, trying to deal with Truxlax in the early game. Has himself just about a wave advantage on minions, but he's got to be careful of LeChase coming in behind. Wardane actually kind of just feels like it could be that sort of time that LeChase could be top. And we didn't really see much out of LeChase yesterday. A little disappointing. Yeah. Played the Nidalee that he had been touted on, and just surprising that a player that was spoken about having so much impact in the initial games that we saw from k1ck just really didn't kind of translate further.
For sure. So I'd like to see a little bit more from him, because Syncroft really did a number on him in the jungle. Was kind of all over him, all over his lanes. And LeChase even had a very good setup yesterday, because his bot lane managed to take away a small minion, put the enemy jungler down a level. But it still didn't really matter. Top lane, that was a difficult gank because the wave was kind of pushed, and Wardane was not pushing up himself, so a bit of time wasted. Dan is typically not a jungler who will get in your face and be super aggressive, so if there's any real time for LeChase to shine, at least in the laning phase, it would be this game.
And Dan's general pacing of the game and the way he tempos his positioning, or tempers, if you'll excuse me, is more based towards how to set up fights, how to avoid fights when they can, when it comes to the split pushing. Sure. Mouse, specifically in Summer Split last year, were a very team fight-based team. And a lot of that stemmed from Dan. He was playing like Sejuani, playing a lot of Rek'Sai when it came to, different decision-making, whether it was split push on Rek'Sai or set up team fights on that Sejuani. He tends to be a little bit more reserved when it comes to early game ganks, once he gets to 6.
For sure, unless he's playing Renekton jungle.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about that.
No.
Bot lane, 2v2, Rooks and k1ck are going to carry on farming away. A little bit behind Upset and Norskeren because of that gank going down, and also because Sivir just has to right-click the wave and hit it with Q, and then it's basically gone. Whereas k1ck has to fight for every single minion he wants to take. So he's gone for that tier, of course, meaning hits that kind of low in the laning phase where he's not super good at trading, but he's just trying to stack up for that mid game. LeChase, he's going to walk down the bot lane, but seen out by that ward, which was actually a fairly fresh ward, so should have known that was there. There's the pink ward as well, spotting him on the way up. He's just going to take this one, but look at the amount of pings. There was like 5 pings just pinging him where he was going up to the Rift Scuttler, so it was like they definitely know he's there.
Oh yeah, they know.
Dan has just hit level 6 as well, so all Dan's been doing in the early game is just camp, 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 camp.
But he's had that ability to do it because of how his lanes have gone. So you've got a Victor, you've got an Ezreal who now had to sit back. They need extra time. Top lane was going in Wardane's way anyway, so all Dan had to do, farm up the camps, drop himself into the enemy jungle a little bit when he could, and get himself to 6. He's way earlier than LeChase on that. Top lane there is a trade, but look, Dan doesn't matter about helping the lane. He's already going to steal away the blue, but look at where Victor and Elise are. They're already coming across to stop this. They feel like it could be happening.
Well,
they don't actually know it's
a question of whether Dan will get out after this. I mean, Chico's found him as the gravity field is not going to be put down. Aftershock does land. LeChase is still coming after him. Truglax's a little bit far away. The flash, the cocoon, first blood. LeChase picks up that kill. Bot lane trade now coming out. Noskrin with the quick combo, but he's going to be backing off.
And I was just sitting here thinking, well, Dan's got flash, right? Then look over at his flash. Of course, he used it in the bottom lane. And Dan didn't really have the right timing on that as he went aggressive into the enemy jungle. Didn't have the wards. I thought since it got out on the tunnel, pretty much uncontested, he was going to be okay, but that cocoon, nice flash cocoon from LeChase, is able to take him down. So Dan getting punished for being over-aggressive, despite his lanes somewhat having had the lead before, but now you can see Chico got himself up in CS now, is very confident with dealing with caps for now.
Well, Dan's back in the action using that Void Rush to go straight back to his red, so he's going to be out of the action for a little bit. LeChase, yeah, picked up that first blood, and I don't want to start praising him yet. I mean, yes, he was very good. The flash cocoon was perfect from him, knowing that Dan's flash was down, but it was really a result of Dan just happening to be in their jungle, taking blue buff, and then the follow-up from Chico. So I want to see LeChase now convert that into something more. I want to see him go to those lanes, really put down an impact, maybe even start invading Dan and make his presence known, because this guy meant to have like a big pedigree behind him, because lots of people were talking about how well LeChase was going to do coming into CSQ.
Yeah, heard a name that I just heard a lot about coming into this. I guess you can kind of attribute that to how popular k1ck are as a team as well. They have a lot of passionate fans on top of that. They will let you know how good k1ck have been doing recently and exactly how the team are doing. So, you know, it's nice to see a team having that kind of support. Yeah. Being in you know, Challenger Series qualifiers is somewhat rare, but at the same time, I'm sure is pretty helpful when it comes to mentality. But right now, what's going to be useful for their mentality is that they're ever so slightly ahead as the gold equalizes.
It's still like 50 gold, so they've got that going for them. But yeah, it's just a lot of farming right now. Top lane's just kind of going back and forth. Slight CS advantage to Warden, but nothing really to talk about just yet. Mid lane is actually equalized, so Caps is caught up in a lot of that farm, despite being poked down by Chico early, which kind of happens. And then bot lane, there's a slight CS advantage again to upset, because Sivir versus the Edgewall matchup. So we're really waiting for something to open up in this game. As Truxlax, he's going to be sidestepping the Time Winder.
Well, Pulse, if k1ck have it their way, nothing's opening up for a while in this game. Victor, Ezreal, they kind of just want to sit here for a little while longer. Interesting start on the Cloud Drake, not committing to it. There you go. That tells you exactly how how useful, or at least how valuable to k1ck right now that is. It was well, let's test it. Let's see. It's not that difficult to take. Oh no, okay, we don't really have a read on Dan, so let's not commit to it. Not the likes of just rushing it down. Caps wants to go in.
A little bit scary for Chico, but maybe it was scary for Caps because LeChase was waiting in the wings and he's immediately going to bounce out. So there's a couple more seconds where LeChase has that window. He's going to spot Dan as he walks into the bush. Gets a lot of damage actually with the Neurotoxin into Venomous by combo. He's got to follow after Dan as well. Now Caps is starting to react. Here's the TP. Maybe LeChase has got a little bit too deep. The fish has landed on top of him. Rux comes in for the bot lane. That's going to be a fast 2 kills, a 2 for 1. And now Truxlax, he's going to get involved. Upset from the bot lane. They're starting to back away. Norscarin is being caught out. He does have that ultimate on top of him, but it's just a matter of time before he goes down. Oh, is it? The flash over the wall, k1k. He's looking for the Q. Oh, upset, looks for the block, but doesn't really find it. 3 for 1, k1k coming up big.
Going massive for k1k in that setup. Caps even managed to stay alive. One of the early fighters in that little skirmish there manages to get himself out alive, did use his flash to do it, but overall, that couldn't have gone a whole lot better for k1k when you look at that kind of positioning on that fight. That was exactly where they wanted to fight this early on. They actually regress back to their lanes, don't commit for the dragon after it either. But k1k right now are in a good position, and that mid lane matchup seems to be comfortable for Chico, and it's Chico that really turns this.
Yeah.
Watch as this fight continues. They start onto Dan, fairly straightforward here. They know that they've at least got the flash from Dan coming out here, and LeChase is safe. Caps thinks he can get extra damage down because k1k started to stack, but this ultimate that comes out from Victor just shreds, or I thought it was the ultimate that came out from Victor. It was actually a death ray, and then the ultimate comes out later as he's able to shred through in that fight and take a bunch of Mao's health bars off at this point. And this was just a tidy up at the end.
Yeah. The funny thing is, if Alistair just kind of carried on walking one direction instead of trying to Duke, then then Upset would have gotten in front of him, Duke rather. But yeah, I believe it was the aftershock damage that came out, coming after the death ray, because I think does a lot of damage now, because it's basically the same amount as the initial death ray, but has a longer delay now. So
yes.
it just hit multiple targets, and when you're in a choke point, in a bottleneck, does a lot of damage. So.
Yeah, the ultimate was layered on top. I second-guessed myself. I was like, I thought it was there. So yeah, it actually was on top. Of course, it does just damage at larger steps now. It's every 2 seconds rather than like
every
as it used to be.
0.25, I believe it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just deals a lot of damage when it does hit.
Yeah.
It's not
we saw
very
that
often.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Respect that ultimate. LeChase, E over the wall. Knows that there isn't a camp there, so he can defer that Dan is going to infer that Dan is in the bottom jungle or maybe going into the top side now. They just see him go over a ward, so LeChase is tracking Dan. Now the red buff spawns, and Dan immediately finds him with the Q. He's like, I'm just going to shoot this out. I mean, Prey Seeker is pretty easy just to shoot out there, but there's no one to respond because Wardane's tied up in the top lane as he goes up against Truckblax. Mid lane is tied up because he went to the bot sides on the map. So LeChase, even though that Dan knew he was there was nothing he could do about it, and he just took the buff. Bot lane. Upset's going to be returning a bit of damage onto Rooks. We've got Dan coming down for the counterplay.
Here's the TP.
Here's the TP coming into the north side of the fight. This is going to have to be a tower dive. Northscoren, he's got the ultimate. This is going to be pretty easy. 4 versus 1. Rooks against the wall. k1k, he's down. Rooks is down as well. 2 easy kills for Caps.
Very clean, and the fact that both kills go on to Fizz is pretty huge in that situation. Already has that Abyssal Scepter completed. Now he's going to be well on the way to carrying this game, potentially now 6 stacks on that Dark Seal. And I was just about to say that the last fight where k1k fought around that mid lane was not really beneficial because of their team setup. Utilizing their TPs, obviously having a fight right next to mid lane means there's no point in TPing to it from Caps. So they had that TP overlap when it came to being able to TP into the fight. Caps goes to the bottom lane, picks himself up 2, and as you said, it was going to be a very easy dive. As soon as Northscoren just has tower aggro and is just walking in. Yep. k1k didn't really have too much he could do in that situation.
Top lane did go down to Truckblax, however, against Wardane, so that was tower equalized because the bot one went down over 2 miles after they picked up those 2 kills. Tenses are hard in English, I'm finding.
Yeah, as his head is Sifa.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he's here somewhere, but he deserved the rest after those 3 games. They were pretty long as well.
Yeah, especially that last one.
Yeah.
Not quite as long as yesterday's 63-minute game.
That's true, that's true.
I think my birthday present was getting at least us to watch that one.
Oh, okay. Well, Caps is he's back into the bottom lane. He was hunting to see if he could pick up another kill. He's actually gone for the Dark Seal now. So he's got 6 stacks on that one. And we'll be taking away this pink ward. Yeah, you got to hit that to finish it off. There you go.
Otherwise it just regens.
Yeah, it comes back.
Thought I got rid of it, you pesky pink wood.
That's actually an annoying thing because there's many situations where you aren't able to fully finish off a pink ward, but at least it's now 4, so Graves doesn't hate it as much. There's an ultimate coming out from Rooks in the mid lane, followed from Chico, who's going to be headbutted away by Northscoren. The chase is going to come in there as well, not really land too much, and the Tower Spiraling will end the day on that engage in the mid lane.
But k1k don't look to be done right now. In comes k1k, trying to at least get a little bit more damage. But look at the inversion from Mouse. They want to put Caps in that bottom lane, but he's not got his teleport, which means he can't group for fights. But what he can do is maybe look for Chico. But Chico has LeChase down here with him, so it's kind of a who's setting a trap for who right now when it comes to this bottom lane matchup. But certainly it is somewhat even when it comes to the ability to TP between lanes. Oh, Caps gets him.
He's going to go in, but now he just saw LeChase as he was going in, and then he instantly turns around, Urchin strikes away.
And now
LeChase is on the corner.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's good to go. So unfortunate timing, because maybe 0.5 seconds later, maybe even less than that, he would have fully committed onto the victor, and LeChase would have followed up. So a little unfortunate there in the bot lane engagement.
Yeah, unfortunate, but look at the difference in CS, or at least the jungle camps that have been taken now by Dan and LeChase. Constantly farming up is Dan right now. It doesn't actually give him much of a... Well, it doesn't give him a gold lead at all because of the 2 kills that are on LeChase, but certainly Dan is just running around the jungle, still just farming up. So it's giving Dan the ability to kind of close the gap that should be there from LeChase, and LeChase gets spotted out in that circumstance by the Prey Seeker. k1ck are going to back themselves away, but honestly, for a team composition that really shouldn't have been able to fight quite so well early on, the stacking of Mouse in that mid lane fight really has given k1ck a bit of a boost here to give themselves the ability to get items and get themselves through the difficult part of the game.
I think now we can start praising LeChase because there's been multiple times where he's been setting up kills, helping his team out. Even the counter gank in the bot lane was really good to see. So LeChase looking a little bit back on form against the enemy jungle Dan, who has kind of been run over a little bit in this game. He's now onto his Cloud Dragon. Should be easily able to take this one away. Caps is even coming over just in case he needs some help with it, but that's going to be an extra bit of movement speed out of combat going over to Mousesports. Next one's going to be the Mountain Dragon, so maybe k1ck will be a little happy about fighting over that one. Chico, well, he's seen him on the pink ward, so he knows he's there, but the mid lane has just kind of swapped up to the bottom lane, but that is a TP in from Qualifiers. I think he knows this one is coming down. Aftershock comes across. He's going to be looking for this heroic charge. Very early E coming out from Caps. There's a knock-up. Heroic charge comes in. Caps is going to be jumping out of here. Rux, ultimate coming in from Chico. He's going to be following down the Caps. Is in range to zap him. He's going to come across with a Q, but jumps over the wall. LeChase.
Oh, here's Ezreal though.
Coming to chase him down. Cocoon lands, shut down over to Chico. The great escape was not to be from Caps. And look at actually pick up the kill.
Look at how Mouse actually started to come down to try and save him for a second there. I was wondering whether Mouse were going to go up and just commit to the Rift Herald because Caps took so much time up there and actually used so much to stay alive. That Mouse could have capitalized on that. I know Dan was on the top side, so quite surprising. Now they're going to lose the Rift Herald, of course. Rift Herald on 6-10 or after 6-9 will only spawn once. It pretty much would be worth if Dan could steal it, but his smite is not available for another 5 or so seconds, so not even any kind of attempt at tunneling under. Oh, Wardane was going to try, but I don't think Dan would have been able to secure the actual the buff that drops afterwards anyway.
Just camp on top of him and be like, yeah, come over the wall.
At least he would deny it.
That is true, yeah. But that actually makes me really sad because I was very curious to see if Dan would steal it away from his top laner or even Caps in the mid lane. So we'll never know.
I think he would have.
I think so too.
I think he would have.
Well, there's plenty more games in the group stage to find out if he picks Rek'Sai again and then tries to take it away from top lane. But
has the whole jungle strat fallen apart now without that?
Maybe he might still go for the Black Cleaver and still go for that split push. There's still time in this game. We're in 20 minutes in, and the gold is basically even. So we're just kind of donating buffs over right now. Nothing too interesting happening in this game, but we do have a couple items being picked up. Sun is Hourglass over to Caps. Got the early Abyssal Scepter on both the mid laners as well. What is it?
There
it is. Completed. Black Cleaver on
second item. Doesn't even matter about anything else.
After the jungle item. It's like, it's so efficient. I can get it so early into the game.
So we are seeing a lot of Black Cleaver just in general. Vedius has talked about it a little bit, but we've seen it from the top lane, seen it from the AD carry role, now we're seeing it from the jungle as well. Obviously that armor reduction is pretty nice to have. Certainly when you look at this setup, oh, Chico.
He's going to be stunned up. The Zhonya was really nice timing on top of that Chaos Storm. Mid lane upset's going to be dead. Very, very dead. Bot lane Caps is just going to receive the power transfer. He also drops in the bottom lane. Dan is just kind of passing by, but may want to get out of here. Oh, there's tunnels set up literally everywhere. He's out. He's literally going to Raptors.
The problem is, MOUs with their team composition really don't have many answers here, because what are they looking to do? Try and hold the side lanes? Well, the Victor just 1v1'd the Fizz.
And Yakko's getting 1v1 by the Poppy.
Yeah, I mean, Victor did have to use the barrier. Well, I mean, didn't even drop that low from it. He used the barrier to stay alive. And now the Poppy is starting to take control and has kind of been winning the trades against Echo for the entire game. So what are you going to do? Try and put your Rek'Sai over in the side lane and hope he can deal with things?
That would be the Mouse special. But you generally need more to be going well than you than just Rek'Sai has a Black Cleaver. Mid lane, at least, Caps is in a decent place. When you give Fizz a couple kills, he can start nuking the squishy targets, but he wasn't able to 1v1 the Victor. That's a problem. Can he do the same against Ezreal? Probably, but Ezreal has an E, so he's just going to jump away to his allies. So it's very difficult for Mouse's composition, as you just said, to make anything happen in this game.
Yeah, Caps has lost his stacks as well, so
the Dark Seal stacks. Yeah, it's all going wrong then.
Yeah, everything's going wrong. I mean, you look at it, you look at an Alistar and say, well, normally that would be the answer, and sure enough, he still has the ability to land those engages. Nothing like that changed in Alistar's kit.
Right.
Just certainly the opportunities have been few and far between for Mouse. Maybe if they can get that Sivir ultimate into the Alistar ult chase, but it's kind of a situation that you have to drag the enemy into, and I don't really know whether you want to fight against this Victor right now, because he is pretty strong on the Abyssal Zhonya's.
Well, good luck with this Wardane. He's going to E to Rux, going to flash away, and Laser does not land on top of him, so he makes it out.
But k1ck are already pushing this turret now. They're already looking for the top side. Caps is looking to equal it on the bottom, and Sivir is pushing in the mid. But this tower's already gone. So k1ck have already got what they wanted from this, and Poppy recall to try and save the bot tower from Caps. Here comes the Ezreal ult to clear out mid. And not going to hit bot lane at the same time, but that would have been incredible.
Angle, yeah.
Just clears both through. So Sivir did get the mid lane despite the Ezreal ult. But bot lane, let's watch the fight.
Yeah, this is usually fights with a Fizz in don't go on very long, but against a Poppy, you're going to be here for quite a while. And Caps has realized that in a war of attrition, he does not win. k1ck's actually going to flash after him, looking for the charge against the wall, doesn't find it. Caps is going to continue to waddle away, I guess, as Fizz does. He's going to Urchin Strike through k1ck. He's being a bit of a playful trickster right now. There comes the Q. He's going to TP out. Oh, he actually can't do it. He doesn't have the health. Yeah, so he interrupts the TP. Playful trickster, Urchin Strike. He's going to take a tower shot. Nope, he's going to Zhonya's. k1ck is going to taunt real quick, then follow up for the kill. That was a weird sequence of events.
That was the stupidest sequence I think I've watched all week so far. Caps TPing, trying to TP out when he knew he realistically couldn't. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot he could do against Spirit Visage Poppy at this point. A little too strong when it came to that 1 versus 1. And Caps right now has gone from being 3 and I think 3-0, 3-1, now to 3-3. Really has had no impact on the game outside of negative impact when it came to losing, you know, a couple of pushes down in the bottom lane, over pushing twice now and getting punished for it. k1ck. Mountain Drake's going to take a while to get, but that's going to enhance their ability to push towers, push objectives, and look to close this game out, because honestly, k1ck are in a good position too.
Next one's going to be Ocean as well. Most likely k1ck are going to have the priority over the area. k1ck, he's still got the glimpse of the Void buff, so he's pushing down the bot lane with the rest of the team coming in. And k1ck are just playing so well in this game. I mean, it's just been incremental leads that have been built up over this game. Wardane's going to pick up this top tower at least. But 3 towers ahead, k1ck are now. And they have arguably a more useful dragon that they just picked up because Caps just went down in the bottom lane. So everything seems to be going really well for them. I do think 3,000 gold really tells the tale of how far ahead in this game they are. I
mean, watching this, I feel quite frustrated at the Rek'Sai pick from Dan. I don't think when you look at what Dan has been doing, he's had pretty much any effect out of the jungle. He farmed up, didn't really get anything done. Now has himself a Black Cleaver, which means he can't survive long enough when it comes to most fights. And this is one of the difficulties when we've been watching teams go down the jungle tier lists while the big picks were still available. This game had Graves, Kindred available, and if you wanted a utility jungler, Gragas, which we have seen come back into fruition. Even the likes of like a Lee Sin, if you wanted it, not that I feel like it's, you know, a particularly great pick right now, but when you look at what he had offers in the early game, and Dan defaults to a Rek'Sai, which is like a C tier jungler right now. It's comfort for him, don't get me wrong, but when you look at what he's actually achieved in the game, it is very little.
Yeah. And you look at like what a Rek'Sai can do in this game, and it's not like he's just missed opportunities. It's like Rek'Sai can't do the same things that those other junglers do in the phases of the game. The Chase has just kind of walked all over him. So yeah, I definitely agree. It's been a rough game for Dan, and maybe it was all on the glimpse of the void. He was just like, this is our game plan.
If your game plan, you know, balances on getting Rift Herald to your jungler to split push, I think maybe the game plan is a
especially
little
in this current
offset.
meta as well, because like there's so many beefy top laners like Poppy who are just gonna beat you into a pulp anyway. It's hard, but yeah. I don't think it was all on the pick though, because the rest of the team as well, like top lane has been gradually going in k1K's favor. Bot lane did go over to upset, but wasn't really able to capitalize on it. And mid lane is getting 1v1'd. Shot comes up onto k1K, but can't really get on top of him with the rest of the members there.
I mean, Mouse has still done a good job farming up on Sivir, farming up in the top lane. Even though Warden has, you know, kind of not had the same presence, he's still been able to out-farm k1K. Here comes a TP from k1K into the enemy jungle, but the rest of his team started Baron. So they're not choosing to fight off this. Warden does have his TP, as does Caps. Here's the zone. Hammer goes down. Is it enough? Baron at a 3rd health.
I think it's just going to go down here. Upset is going to get tagged by the Ezreal ultimate. Nice. Glacial Fissure will stop Northscore's engage. Warden hops over the wall. He's going to be chrono breaking back to bot lane. 4 versus 5 now in this fight. Mousesports against k1K. Caps is going to chase down LeChase. Picks up that kill. Rux is going to come in. Caps goes into the Zhonya's Hourglass. k1K's going to finish him off. Oh, will he? He's going to flash away, and he will take him down in the end. Northscore is going to be falling here. Upset and Dan are now running for their lives as k1K and Chico want blood. It's going to be a 1-4-2, and Mousesports come out behind, massively behind, with Baron buff also over to k1K Esports Club.
It just keeps getting better for k1K. They managed to get the Baron pretty much uncontested. Warden goes into the fight and has to ult himself back out of the fight down to bottom lane. So ultimately for k1K, I mean, they come out with the Baron buff, they come out with extra kills. All they really lost there was a whole bunch of summoners, and they lost LeChase, but the Baron buff remains on everybody else. So right now, k1K can just go back to pushing multiple lanes right now. They've been grouping somewhat in the bottom lane just to push one through. So they'll probably look to do that now and split over across the two. But k1K doesn't actually have his TP, so they may just remain as 5. Not quite the same options with the double TP that you'd expect. Still got to keep remembering that that Victor has barrier.
Yes, he does. It's still available.
Actually hasn't affected the game in all that much at all. We were saying,
at least, yeah.
We were saying that Caps would be able to TP across. That happened once. Outside of that, all the fighting has been on Caps when he's not had TP in a side lane.
Yeah, the funny thing is actually Caps may have just wanted to ignite this game because he's not been able to kill his enemy mid laner. k1K is going to get on top of Caps, but this is just a bloodbath in the mid lane. Everyone's just fighting everyone. We have to see who survives at scrum. It's going to be k1K going down. Craps is going to be limping away with his life. Rux is going to go down here. Dan is now following after him. Chico is going to die. LeChase is going to hop up, come back down. Northscore, his allies just kind of abandoned him. And meanwhile, Chico is going to town on the rest of the Mousesports lineup. That's a 3-for-2, and now they're pushing down the mid lane.
For a moment, it looked better for Mouse there, but the rest of the damage from Chico came out right before he was about to drop. Manages to get himself some of that health back and is able now to help the team push down the inhibitor. I thought Mouse might have been able to take it, but Caps was running away. As he said, he was on low health. The rest of Mouse Upset couldn't get himself into the fight, and k1K are able to again take another good fight. Dan wants to come in. It's not quite done.
k1K, he's getting chased down. Caps is going to find his 6th kill of the game. Shutdown comes out for him. Chico may also be on the receiving end of Caps's Urchin Strike. Nope.
LeChase gets his fangs in, is able to take him down. I mean, man, this has just gone from strength to strength from k1K. We're going to go all the way back to the beginning of that fight. So this is where it looked like k1K was in a little bit of trouble here. And this stun does lock down 2 people here on k1K. And for now, Mouse, as soon as they get Caps out, look at how k1K's health bars start to drop. Rux drops fairly low here as well, as Warden is managing to get the damage down. Chico looks to be out of it, but the damage that comes out, he keeps himself alive with that shield that comes from the Q and is able to run back and readjust into that fight to take out another couple of people. So it ends up going k1K's way, and another dragon goes over to them.
Yeah, Ocean Dragon this time around, and only 31 minutes into this game, but now k1k have a significant goal lead. They have the Dragon lead and the Baron lead, and also a lot of these towers, plus the inhibitor, everything is going their way in this game. It just feels like Mousesports, if they had a game plan, it's definitely not here anymore. They just need to find a pick. They just need to wait for k1k Esports to make a mistake now. This is just a situation in the game where they're just going to be shoved into their base.
The funny thing is for Caps is you look at his scoreline and you're like, well, he got 6 kills.
Yeah.
Surely it's, you know, Fizz gets 6 kills.
This is the solo queue scoreline where you're like,
right.
well, I did really well.
That's the thing. It's I did really well.
Yeah.
And it's the player that's pushing bottom lane or looking to get engages and that kind of thing, regardless of the rest of the team. But honestly, the rest of Mouse haven't been looking to do anything either. So it really has only been Caps that's been attempting to make plays, and the rest of the team are like, I don't know whether we can make this fight happen. There was a good stun out by Wardane in the last fight, but we'll see whether we can get that again. This seems like a very different Mouse to yesterday, from the draft and from the execution, and I'm not as big a fan of this Mouse as we saw in that game from yesterday. Oh, here's the fight.
Well, they're going to pull the trigger. k1k is dropping low, but it looks like Mouse who are going to crack first. Rux is going to get hit up by the Fizz ultimate coming out. Upset's just trying to get in range to put out the damage in return. Chico, he's gone into the Zhonya's hourglass. And maybe Mousesports have started to run over k1k Esports Club. Rux goes down, Chico's gonna fall. So is LeChase, k1k, and just like that, k1k Esports are dropping like flies. 3 members remain. The ace out for Mousesports.
Much better out of Mouse. Upset got so much damage out, as did Caps before Caps ultimately fell. And it just meant that k1k were reaching a little too far in that bottom lane as they set up that fight. I want to take a look all the way back at how that fight actually started. I want to see whether Wardane got himself right into the mix as well, as we will take a look back at that fight very shortly. But for Mao's sake, is that what's going to hold them the game? This was the fight that was going to turn it around. So how does this fight actually go the way of Mouse? So big knock up onto k1k and Rux before the ult comes out. Then 3 people get locked down in the parallel convergence, and from there Mouse just have Upset untouched up at the top. Chico comes forward to try and actually take him out, doesn't quite have the damage off the first rotation of his spells, and from that Upset's able to reposition. Caps is able to get his damage out as well, and k1k doesn't have enough here. Even though his Hex Drinker has popped, he's trying to just deal any damage and stay alive. Was not enough in that scenario, and Mouse have dragged this to now within 3,000 gold of each other. But do not underestimate the dragons that k1k have right now. They have been able to secure 2 of the dragons so far, Ocean and Mountain.
And when you get the Elder Drake as well, that will be amplified. Baron is in 50 seconds. And while that was a great team fight out from Mousesports, really utilizing the Echo and all the AoE coming out from Civic, because it's a pretty decent team fighting composition when you look at it. But looking to find a pick here onto LeChase, that could be big as the Baron is happening. Rux is actually just going to somehow find himself in the middle of everyone, but Upset gets deleted from the fight. He was what was really keeping him in this game. Now Northgrunt is going to get chased down. He's going to have to turn tail, go back into the team, try and keep Wardane alive, but that chase did not go as planned. k1k is going to keep the recalls from happening, and this actually just might be the end of the game, even though it was this uphill struggle. Dan, he's trying to shake off this puppy. The flash over the wall to interrupt the Void Rush. You're not getting back to base to help your allies. Wardane and Caps are going to have to go 2 versus 4 here. Wardane already used the Kona break. Next time he goes in, it's a one-way ticket. Comes in with a parallel convergence. k1k is trying to put down the damage. Caps is coming back in to try and chunk them down. But ultimately, these are 2 all-in characters trying to defend the base, but they are giving it a damn good attempt. Rux is dropping low, but k1k, they're just trying to put the ultimate down onto the Nexus. One more will do it. There you go. And k1k Esports will eventually close out the game against Mouse.
Oh, the ending was a little tense, see if they could get the autos, but that 3-man lockdown right around the red buff area into just the Victor annihilating people from Mouse. I mean, k1k, the first couple of minutes were a little rough, just from the way the lanes started going in favor of Mouse coming out of the champion select, but it was that fight in the river, in the bush, where the Victor just completely blew apart. Dan, Caps was in there as well, managed to get away, but it was enough just to Victor E-ult, out go 3 people, and K1ck just had. That was the basis of their win.
And also the setup was some of the chase. So I was very impressed by that. He actually found Dan, followed at him, and I was like, that's a bit aggressive. But then the rest of the team was there to follow up. So yeah, props to the chase and props to the team because they looked a lot better in that game than they did yesterday. Mousesports looked a lot worse in this game than they did yesterday. I thought Caps was also worse than he was yesterday, but still good. He wasn't able to capitalize on the fizz plays that he was making, though. And there's a lot of times where he was getting 1v1, so that was a problem. But it did look like a different team. I just want to see how they evolve through the tournament, because yesterday was really good. Today was not bad. I would just say more mediocre.
I just feel like today their draft gave them so many problems. The draft looked outdated,
them for sure, yeah.
Like compared to what we've seen on 610, which is a lot of varied things. So obviously there is still a room. But the Alistar, the Rek'Sai, neither are really top tier meta picks that we've seen and heard so far. So I feel like Mouse gave himself too many difficulties to overcome in that game, and K1ck were just like, well, let's just take Victor and Ezreal, and if we win a fight early, great. If not, we'll just sit back. Mouse did have a little bit of bite left to the end of the game. We saw them win that one team fight. So there still was some potential to fight, but K1ck just got too many objectives, too many fights went their way early on. Yeah,
which netted them dragons as well after that. I just kind of wonder how that last fight, and maybe a lot of the other fights would have looked had Dan been on like a Kindred or a Gragas, or like a Graves, something with like a lot of punch in those fights, and then see if he could do a bit more. Because yes, he's good in the skirmishes at Rek'Sai, especially with the Black Cleaver build. But with the other champions, maybe he was able to do a bit more in those fights and have them swing their way.
As soon as you have to sit like melee range on a Victor that's just like Death Ray ult, and you've got Black Cleaver, so you're not even that tanky. It's like, well, I'm probably losing half my health to that alone. And then I got to kind of try and sit there with everybody else. So yeah, I certainly would have liked to have seen a different jungle pick. I mean, there's still room for Rek'Sai, but I think you have to have like 4 jungle bans and then something taken away on one side.
And then you put the priority in that, and it's just like, welcome to my territory, where the C tier picks are my domain. But it didn't really work out in that game. But there's more days to go for Mousesports. There's still 1-1 after all, so it's not even that bad. And K1ck, pretty solid performance overall. So happy to see how that one went for them. But we are going to take a short break before we get to our next game. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with G2V and ESG after this.